Support for this program is brought to you by listeners like you. Thank you.
The Local Thread.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Moment of Truth, presented by the Sojourner's Truth newspaper. My name is Fletcher Word, the publisher of the Truth newspaper. Today, however, it's a business discussion, and we are going to talk with a small business owner or two. And we're also going to have a discussion about two groups that assist business owners, two groups that had been defunct for a number of years, but have come back roaring to life recently. So let's start with Delisa Moore. Some of us might call Delisa Moore a serial entrepreneur. Delisa, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Let's start. You have a number of businesses. So let's start with the journey that took you to that entrepreneurial stage.
Well, it started in high school. I am a proud graduate of Rogers High School, and my business teacher was Roger Zimmerman, attorney Roger Zimmerman, and he taught me how to do taxes. So he taught the class how to do taxes. And back then we were doing taxes by hand, and he taught me that. I learned that that was a business. So I initially started doing it for my family and friends, really for free, just to save them some money, right? And then I had got an offer from a national brand to come work for them, but I declined it at that time. And then I had a new company come into the city that was looking for a director. I didn't want to just go in as a preparer, right? I felt like I had more to offer. So I applied for that job, and I started working for that national company as a district director. And from there, I learned more about the business, seeing how much money that I was making them, and decided to buy into a franchise of that business.
Okay, and how long ago was that?
So 2009.
2009, and that's essentially when you started your own business, right?
Correct. I worked for them. 2015 is when I birthed Frogtown Financial.
Frogtown Financial, that's the name of your business. That's
the
name of your tax business, your
Correct.
first tax business.
Yes.
Okay.
And I opened that because the national brand closed. And so it was like, do I continue to do this? I didn't need to. I work full time as well. And I don't have any kids. So the money is good, right? To be able to live the life you choose to. But I didn't have to. But I had already had these clients. I have already built these relationships. And I was like, I might as well just keep the business going. And so that is when I founded Frogtown Financial.
Okay. But then, eventually, you started a second business.
I did.
Didn't you? And how long were you in Frogtown Financial before you branched off?
So 2015 is when I birthed Frogtown Financial. Mm-hmm. And then in 2018... I had got prophesied to at church from one of the ministers who asked me, Delisa, he came up to me on a Sunday and said, hey, Delisa, are you in real estate? I said, no, I'm an insurance agent and I have a tax business. He said, God told me to tell you to get into real estate. And that following Saturday, I was enrolled in real estate classes at Owens Community College. And I graduated, I passed my exam in June of 2018.
June of 2018.
And I became a real estate agent.
Eventually moved into your own building, right? Mm-hmm. In which you have a number of spaces. I've been in there. I've seen the number of spaces. But having two businesses, a tax business, tax preparation business, and a real estate business clearly was not enough for you.
Wow. Is it ever enough? Is it ever enough, right?
So eventually, you started a new venture.
I did.
And that was?
It's called Tie the Knot Wedding Chapel.
Tie the Knot Wedding Chapel.
Yes,
okay.
TYE, the Knot Wedding Chapel. A lot of people think it's TIE, like a tie, but it's TYE. And yes, I initially I was going into the wedding business because I always felt like that was a very lucrative business. And I initially was going into wedding gowns, full figure wedding gowns. When I was initially going into that business, beautiful full figure gowns were not big, right? Had very few stores sold these gowns. So I was going to do that, but I ended up not doing that. But I truly love. I think it's a beautiful thing. And I opened up the chapel, and I got the idea to open it up in 2020 during COVID when a lot of places were closing. And the courthouse, a lot of people go to the courthouse to get married, and they stopped doing them because of COVID. So I found a need, and I created Tie the Knot Wedding Chapel, where we can also do those quick weddings as well for a fraction of the cost of what people are paying now, and in a beautiful space. I think we decorated it well. It's a little got chandeliers, so it's a beautiful space that people can come in, and instead of being on a wall or in a courtroom, they can be in a beautiful space and still feel like they tie the knot and had a beautiful wedding.
Tie the Knot TYE.
TYE.
Okay, well, that all sounds like a really smooth path to success. But I know that at some point along the line, there have been some rough patches. There have been some
Absolutely.
difficulties. What sort of difficulties
I done
have
quit
you
so
faced?
many times.
Okay.
I've quit so many. Especially with Frogtown Financial. Frogtown, FROG, stands for Fully Rely on God. I truly was only able to make it to where I'm at now because of God. Because like I said, every year I was quitting because I didn't have to, right? So because every year I had a obstacle to overcome, whether it was employees showing up to work, training employees, if it was location. And this type of business, a storefront is best, right? Because you want those walk-in clients, so that traffic. So every year it was something. And every year he showed up and said, I got you. You just stay the course. This is where I want you to be. So I've decided, and I don't want to say decided, I've learned that Frogtown Financial is truly my ministry. I meet so many different people, different walks of life that comes through my door, whether it's low income, people expecting earned income tax credit, or I have a Fortune 500 company looking for bookkeeping or accounting or need their taxes prepared. I have all walks of life. And at that time, we have conversations about life or what we're all going through as I'm preparing the tax return or getting the information to prepare the tax return. So everything has been an obstacle when it comes to, and as you grow, so because of Frogtown, because of the obstacles that I've overcame there, I've learned how to not have those same obstacles going forward in other businesses. And as a real estate agent, I'm actually work by myself for myself, except if I have an assistant. But other than that, I am the lead service provider on that. And with Tie the Knot Wedding Chapel, I have an amazing partner who not only is a partner with Frogtown Financial, and that is something else that God delivered, was my partner, Sherry Galloway. She had over 30 years of experience before I even got to the business, and to be able to partner with her has been amazing, and it's been nothing but joy from that. And she's not only my partner in that, but she's a minister, so she also officiates weddings at Tie the Knot Wedding Chapel along with me, as I'm also a licensed officiant.
Oh, okay. That's a perfect partnership, isn't it? At this point in your entrepreneurial business owner journey, where do you feel that you are? Do you feel that most of the obstacles have disappeared, or do you expect to have something grievous happen any day now?
Well, no, I think most of the big obstacles have come as I know how to navigate them now. So if they come, it's not a big obstacle anymore. It's not that I'm not prepared to handle that as they come. But, you never know. Things surprises us all the time.
Right.
And it's just really just being able to pivot and figure it out the best way that you can. But I think, business is business. Things are going to change. We have the new big, beautiful bill. We have things, when it comes to taxes, things change daily.
Always a challenge.
Always
right?
a challenge. Always a challenge. So, learning that, making sure you stay up on those rules and laws, sometimes that could be challenging with the changes. We got the overtime that
Yes.
is not taxable,
Not
that you
taxable.
have to make sure that it's reported correctly. And if the employer didn't do it, you have to figure it out. So, those type of obstacles are what I'm coming up against now.
So it's a
but
constant learning experience.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, as a business person, as a successful business person, you've learned a lot about yourself over the years. What do you consider to be your strong suit, your strength in the various categories? I mean, if we're talking about financial, if we're talking about marketing, if we're talking about operations, where do you feel your strengths are?
Oh, very good question. Operations, probably. Financial and operations. Marketing, I still struggle. Very much so in marketing. And I know why I struggle in it is because I didn't budget for it. So, and that's one of the things that I want to make sure that I educate the community about is when you start a business, one of the biggest line items need to be marketing. Putting something in place for marketing, even if you just budget $1,000, figuring out how that will work for you, whatever is within your budget. But, operations and the financial part, I think I do very well with in regards to putting procedures in place, how things should be followed, and just, organizing. Organization matters, right? If you're not organized, that's what even goes with tax preparation. When I have a client that's not organized, it's hard to help them, hard to prepare their taxes. So you get through that, you figure it out, you get through it, and then you put them on a path for prosperity, to making sure that they start to record their expenses, record their income, not commingling funds, educating them while they're there so that next year they can be better.
It's interesting what you say about marketing. As a member of the media, this is something that I am and my colleagues in the media are constantly preaching, because it seems as if when most people set up a business, that last thing that they tick off is marketing, if they tick it off at all. What do you tell the people that you advise from a business standpoint, those when you're dealing with financial issues? How do you advise them in terms of marketing?
That should be on the list right after rent.
Okay.
Because you're not gonna, if you don't market yourself, you don't have clients. And of course, word of mouth is amazing. Don't get me wrong. You get a good number of people for word of mouth.
Yeah, marketing
However,
can take a lot of forms, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And it does take a lot of forms. But I think what scares us is we don't know the ROI. What's the return on the investment? If I put $1,000 in radio, how much am I going to get out of that?
Right, right.
But if you don't try it, you'll never know. If you don't do the research and do the work behind it, you'll never know. In radio, you got to figure out what's the best time to run the ad. How long is the ad going to be? How long should you run the ad?
Right.
When it comes to print media.
Who are the various stations reaching? What sort of customers?
What kind of
Yeah,
customers you want,
Yeah.
So because I've learned that marketing is the best. See, because I was a franchise owner, I didn't have to pay for I didn't have to do marketing. I paid my money and they did all the work. So I paid $10,000 a season and I made six figures, right? So, but when I went out on my own, that was not one of the first things that I thought about because it was already done for me. So it wasn't anything in the plan, right? So, but as I grew and growing in business, I know that is one of the biggest downfall of small business owners is that they don't. And a lot of them think that social media is going to do all the work.
Right,
And it's not.
Right.
Social media can do some things for you, but having that national platform in regards to, on the radio or something locally, because this is where you need to market where your people are, right? And, on social media, you got to figure out the algorithm and all the other rules that go along with it. So I don't do well in those aspects. Like I said, that's where I still struggle, but I'm working through it. You have to hire people that's smarter than you, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay. Good luck in finding those people.
Thank you. That's a compliment. I'll take it.
Indeed, it was. Okay, so Frogtown Financial, the real estate business, the tie the knot
Wedding
chapel. I know that you're not going to stop there. I mean, I know that you're just starting. So
Absolutely.
what's next?
So I also have another business called 360 Keepsake Mobile Photo Booth. It's a mobile photo booth where we can come to your event. It has a camera that spins around. You can dance on it. You have a good time. I also have a iPad photo booth that goes along with that too. Like if you wanted to put a backdrop behind it and just do some funny videos. And I had initially bought the 360 for the tie the knot as a keepsake so people can get on there and have a good time. However, as I was waiting for the space to get done remodeling, I had already bought the 360 and I just couldn't let it sit there. I needed to make money. So I created 360 Keepsake Mobile Photo Booth so that I can generate money to not only pay for the asset that I purchased, but to also, start to generate additional income from that business. So, and then the spot where I was going to put the 360 in the chapel, I turned it into a groom's suite. I already had a bride suite.
No, wait a minute. You have the camera, you're saying, in the groom's suite?
No.
What?
So where I was going to put the 360 at,
Okay.
I made it into a groom suite.
Oh,
so I turned that into a groom suite instead of a space for the 360 because men need to have a special place too to get ready and get their mind right. It used to,
sort of like a cave, you're saying.
Yeah, to get ready, to come out and show themselves, right? So I wanted to make sure I created a safe space for them and where they can get ready just like I did for the brides.
Okay. Man.
So I have that. But my next business, Fletcher, let me tell you, it will not be service oriented. I'm looking for something that I can make money in my sleep, that I don't have to show up to do all the work all the time.
Okay, I hope you will share that idea with me before you spread it out
Absolutely.
on the radio here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm putting some things in order, but yes, I am looking for something a little less hands-on for myself.
Okay, all right. That really sounds like the lottery, doesn't it?
If I could play it, I always say I would love to win the lottery, but I have to play the lottery, right?
Okay.
To win.
Well, listen, Delisa, thanks for explaining about your businesses, but we're not going to let you go.
Okay.
Okay? There's something else we want to talk to you about, and we're going to be back in just a moment. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back to A Moment of Truth, again presented by the Sojourner's Truth newspaper. My name is Fletcher Word, the publisher of the Truth newspaper. And my guest again is Delisa Moore, a local businesswoman who has her hands in so many things, as we heard in the first segment. But now we want to talk to you about something else that Delisa is involved with. It's an organization called the Toledo Realtists. And this is an organization that functioned for a while a number of years ago, then was dormant, dead, defunct. And a young man by the name of Rob Pasker brought it back to life about 5 years ago. Rob is a realtor also. He stepped down from the presidency about, a little more than a year ago, I would say. And he has taken a position. He's still a realtor, still a very active businessman in the city, but he's taken a position with the Realtists in the Ohio group. And the new president, relatively new president of the Toledo Realtists is, wait for it, Delisa Moore. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the Realtists, what they do, what they are going to do. So explain to us who or what are Realtists?
Well, let me start here. Thank you for saying the name correctly, right? We are the Greater Toledo Realtists. Association. People call and say realist so many times.
Yes, yes.
But we are the Realtists. I am the proud president of the Greater Toledo Realtors Association. We are a local board of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, which is the premier network of Black real estate professionals dedicated to advancing home ownership, advocating for Black and minorities in underserved communities. We were born out of the need for fairness and opportunity in housing. And that mission guides us with everything we do locally. And just so you know, yes, President Pasker is the state president of the Ohio Realtors Association. He's not only just a real estate agent, he's also a broker. So he can hire as well. So just wanted to make sure we put that out there, that he also is not just a real estate agent, because being a broker is a lot of work and responsibility. So I always want to make sure we give them their flowers.
And there are several. There are several, by the way,
yes,
in this
within
area.
within our organization. And
Right.
yes, there are several brokers
Yes.
within this area, in the Toledo area. So yes. So basically what we believe in is everyone deserves a fair shot at home ownership. We teach people how to understand credit, appraisals, lending, and the buying process. We build community confidence and capacity. So we believe in democracy and housing, that everybody should have the opportunity of owning a home, free of the red tag, the red lines, free of, with lending, being able to have fair access to lending, fair access to owning a home in any area you want to own in.
Financially, what's the advantage of owning your own home?
Oh, wow. Great question. You can build wealth right through owning your own home. You have to own the home, continue to pay for that home. And within those payments, you begin to build equity. And with that equity is your choice on what you choose to do with it. Don't just let it sit there. If you want to start a business, use that equity to start a business. That begins to build wealth depending on the business that you choose to use. If you want to get into investment, using that money right there can help you get into investment, buying you some additional properties to become a landlord, or investment properties if you want to fix and flip. That money that you start to pay for your home, that is just, I look at it as like a savings account, because it builds equity. Your home builds equity. Using that money to do whatever you choose to do with it, to build generational wealth, however you see that for your family.
The history of home ownership over the last, I would say, 100 years has not been very kind to the African American community in general. There have been a lot of legal roadblocks,
Yes.
a lot of banking roadblocks to borrowing, to having mortgages, to buying homes in particular places.
Appraisals.
And the wealth gap, as reflected over the last couple of years, still reflects that.
Absolutely, it does.
Some financial experts say it's 8-1, 10-1. African American to the general population, but if we can get more people, as the Realtists are trying to do, in the Black community, the brown community, to get those mortgages and to buy their own homes, it will increase wealth in the family as generations go on.
Absolutely. A lot of our community are generational renters. And they're generational renters because that's what they've seen all their life. And they don't understand the mindset that has to shift for them to understand home ownership and the benefits behind it. And that's our responsibility. And when I say that is we have to educate them. We have to be visible to them and letting them know that you are worthy of owning a home. You should have, we believe everybody should have a piece of this land, right? Everybody should be able to own something here. And home ownership is one of the easiest ways to start building that wealth, in my opinion. We are tasked with educating. That's the biggest thing when it comes to credit, when it comes to savings. You need to have some money saved when you're starting to buy a home. People think that because they can get a grant or those home ownership funds and things like that, that you don't have any responsibility in that. And you do. And you should know that, because that's what's going to help you make better decisions as you are owning this home. And so, like I said, what we are responsible in doing is educating the community about those different things. You know, people are buying properties with quick claim deeds. But we need to educate our community that don't just give somebody $5,000 because it sounds like it's a great deal without doing the homework behind it. Do a title check. Find out, is there any liens on this house? So what they do, they buy the property for $5,000. Like, oh, I'll just put $20,000 in it and I'll sell it for $80,000, right? On the low end. And then they go to sell it and it has $50,000 worth of debt. Liens attached to it because they didn't do the work. You have to do the work, do the research so that you can come out on top, to be very educated about what you're doing and not just thinking that you got a deal. And there's nothing, once the deal is done, there's no reversing it. You don't get to get your $5,000 back.
Right.
You don't get to get your $20,000 back that you didn't put in the property. Now you have to pivot into figuring out what's the best way for you to make some cash off of this property that you have now put yourself in a situation for not doing the research. But we are realtors. You can call us and we can help you. Realtors, we are an organization that encompasses not only real estate agents, we have insurance agents, we have mortgage loan originators, we have title companies that's a part of the organization, we have inspectors. We have, not only do we have like people who are in the real estate field that's a part of the organization, we also have people that are in a part of the organization that just believes in our mission and wants to help us get the word out. We have daycare owners. We have people who own food trucks, you know, just different businesses, organizations, companies that believe in the mission and vision of the Greater Toledo Realtors Association, and that is democracy in housing.
So it is. One of the other advantages of home ownership is that the value of homes really increases at a far greater rate than the normal inflationary increases in the economy. That home really appreciates, doesn't it?
It does. It absolutely does. I mean, and you can tell just if you look from where we were at in 2020 to where we're at today in 2026, it's a huge change. And yeah, so that's the whole thing when it comes to buying this kind of buying an asset that appreciates, right? A lot of people want to go out and buy cars, a brand new car, spend money on things that don't appreciate. Those things don't build wealth. And we want to educate people on how to build wealth, and starting with purchasing a home is the beginning.
One of the interesting stories I remember from just after World War II, there was in the New York area, Long Island area, there was a housing development project that built thousands and thousands of homes. These homes were, according by fiat of the federal government, well, I should say these homes were primarily going to be for soldiers returning from the war. Okay, that was the customer base. These homes were in the area of that at that time, right after World War II, between $5,000 and $7,000 would be the asking price. Okay, but the homes, again by fiat of the federal government, were not available to African American soldiers coming back. It was going to be a white only, and we're talking about thousands and thousands of homes. Now, this was in the New York area. $5,000 at the end of World War II, 80 years later. Can you imagine what these homes are worth? No.
I know what they're worth.
And so many of them
Millions.
stayed in millions.
Millions and millions of dollars
Yes.
is what they're worth now.
Yes.
And especially in that area.
Yes, in that area, it was an incredible investment for a family. You know, it's only 2 generations later.
And it's so unfortunate that we, as Black people, were not eligible to take advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, this was something that the federal government decreed that African Americans were not eligible for this.
And that's
African
why it's so
American veterans
important.
returning from the war were not eligible.
And we still have those same issues here. That's why it's so important to still advocate for it, because it's still here. Like, we still have appraisal biases, right?
Yes.
You know, I'm sure you heard the story about an appraiser went into, I want to say it was in California, into a Black person's home, and and this is just not 100% the information, but they appraised the house at, let's just say, $300,000. But they knew it was worth more because the people down the street sold, and it was worth more. So they had to whitewash their home, which means they had to take down all their family pictures. They had to get rid of everything that maybe had related to being African American. Had the agent go back, another appraiser go back in and appraise it, and it almost doubled, if I'm not mistaken, of what it was in appraised value.
Right.
And that's really sad. And that was not that long ago, right? I don't remember the year, but it's still happening here to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, the community that I was referring to is Levittown in New York. And this was, I just used the one example, but this was reflective of things that were happening all over the country at that time. That may be the most extreme one because there were so many of the homes built there.
For people that was coming back, for the soldiers, right?
Yes. So an opportunity
truly,
missed. Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of programs has the Realtist Association been putting together, and what will you be doing in the future?
So we do home buyer programs. President Rob was host those weekly. We haven't done them yet this year. We're going to get back into doing those where we have people come in and speak to the community about credit. A mortgage loan originator come in and speak about the loan process. We talk about budgeting because that's where we fall short, right? Budgeting and marketing, right? It goes together.
Let while our listeners are still tuned into this, how can they reach out to the Realtist Association?
So the Greater Toledo Realtist Association is on social media. You can find us on LinkedIn. We're also on Facebook and Instagram as Greater Toledo Realtist Association. Our website is www.toledorealtist.org. REALTISTS.org.
You said that correctly, Realtist.
I did.
I like that. If you are interested, if a listener is interested in home ownership, this is a great resource for them to reach out to the Realtist Association.
Yes. We actually have an event, a community event coming on April 18th at Indiana Missionary Baptist Church.
Okay. Indiana Avenue, Missionary Baptist Church.
Yes.
Okay.
It's going to be April 18th. That's our National Community Impact Day. And we'll have workshops talking about title insurance, talking about credit, talking about budgeting, talking about loans. Maybe you can get approved the same day if you have your documents. We're going to be putting on a great event that day, and we're going to have workshops, so people will be able to sign up. That information will be on our website by the end of the week. They'll be able to sign up for the classes that they're interested in. We're going to have a class that's for Spanish-speaking residents that only speak Spanish, so we have some Spanish instructors that's going to have that conversation with them, because I hate that they are not, we miss that part of the community because I don't speak Spanish. And so now we have some members that speak it fluently, and they are going to host those classes for us. So
okay,
National
that sounds like a
Community
great day.
Impact Day, April 18th, and it's going to be from 9 to 3.
Okay.
That Saturday.
So it's going to be during a good section of the day. Okay, well, now the Toledo Realtist Association, which I said before was defunct for a number of years, maybe about 15, 20 years, something like that. And Rob started up again maybe about 5 years ago.
2018.
2018. Okay, so about almost 8 years ago, he started it back up again. And it's been brought back together. And here's the interesting thing about it. National honors. You have been recognized by the National Association after such success in such a short time. We have
been not only by the national but also by the state. We have won some awards, not just as an organization. We also have won some individual awards. We have Madam Faye Smith, who is my first VP, who has won the Mortgage Lender Award through National. And she's also won President's Circle, and she works with Fifth Third. So she has been, and she always refers to being a member of the Greater Toledo Realtors Association is what has helped her business grow
Good.
and how she was able to win President's Circle. I always feel like we can do more. So, I always try to make sure that, so this year, I want to make sure we can get on the national stage again, that Toledo did 200 people at our National Community Impact. They would be great,
All right. Well, thank you. Listen, thank you very much. I can't, this has been great learning about the Realtors Association. Please do not go away. Stick around, everyone. A Moment of Truth, presented by the Sojourner's Truth newspaper, is going to be right back in a few minutes with Suzette Cowell, the president and CEO of the Toledo Urban Federal Credit Union. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to A Moment of Truth, our third segment, presented by the Sojourner's Truth newspaper. I'm Fletcher Word, and I'm here with another guest, the estimable Suzette Cowell, founder, CEO, president, treasurer of the Toledo Urban Federal Credit Union, and a dear friend of mine for a long time. Suzette, we're going to talk about so many things as far as the credit union is concerned, but let me start off by saying it's one of the few African-American owned credit unions in the country, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
How many?
That I can't give you the exact number, but I know there's only one in the state of Ohio.
Oh my goodness, my goodness! I think when we discussed this years ago, maybe about 20 or something in that for the whole country. I mean, it's very rare.
It is very rare.
Okay, you started this credit union a few decades ago, 3 to be precise.
Actually, I started working on this in 1992. And the amazing part about it took us 4 years to get our charter.
Mm-hmm.
And they hadn't chartered a credit union in the state of Ohio for 8 years.
And you operate it out of a big palatial building, did you?
No, let me tell you what happened.
Okay.
So they sent us a box. That was the number one thing we should have ran then.
Like a shoebox.
Yeah. They sent us a brown box, and they said you have 30 days to open, and here's all your manuals.
Right. And by they, by the way, you mean the National
Credit Union
Association.
Administration.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So even though we had a lot of help, we had a lot of volunteers, we had the bankers, none of us had ever started a credit union. So, because credit unions are different than banks.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But we did the best that we could, and we learned a lot of things through the process.
Yes, and right now from that shoebox, you eventually moved into shopping center, and now you have your own building. You have 2 buildings, as a matter of fact, and perhaps in the near future, a third
Resource center.
Branch.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
A resource center. So you're growing and growing and growing, and this year you are celebrating your
30th year.
30th
July
anniversary.
21st.
In July 21st.
Yes.
Along with that, over the years you have started, and as I've said to you so many times, you are probably the only person in Toledo who could have done it, but you started an African American festival.
Yes.
That's sponsored by the credit union.
21 years.
21 years. A parade, a festival. It's a weekend to be cherished.
Prayer breakfast.
Prayer breakfast. You honor a number of people in the community.
Yes.
I
we
think
do.
I'm the only one in the community you haven't honored, right? No, I'm not pleading. So you've done all of that. What does the credit union offer to your members?
Well, I believe it offers hope. I worked at a institution before I started the credit union that didn't offer hope to people from our community. And so to see people come in, because most of the individuals that come in have been used to just hearing no and not telling them what to do to fix it. But you may hear no today, but we're going to tell you how to fix it so your no will become a yes. In our 30 years, we're seeing generations. I tell you where I always, when someone that I helped 30 years ago and they bring their kids and their grandkids in to take pictures because that's where they got their start. And they say if it wasn't for us, they wouldn't have a house or they wouldn't have an automobile.
So there are so many individuals you've helped over the years. Let's shift just a little bit to small businesses, because that really is what this segment is all about, businesses. How can you help small businesses? What sort of programs have you had in the past, will have in the future?
Well, one of the things I do have to share in talking with that, most of about 80% of our membership are African American male.
Okay.
And they all have an idea and they all have a vision. And so when they come in, they have these big plans. They're not wrote down, just big plans. And so we have to sit them down, talk to them, and help them work through their big plans. A lot of times we will refer them to the chamber so that they can help them with the business plans. But just showing them the importance of how you have to save. We tell them, stories so that they'll know, because a lot of people believe that once I have this big idea, that's it, and everything is going to be okay. So we have to really talk to them and tell them and see if they're strong enough to handle it. Now, a lot of times when they come in and you talk to them and tell them the real, you might not see them again. But I wanted in particular, he came with a bucket and a rag, and he wanted to wash cars. Okay, that's what he said. No business plan, just a bucket and a rag in my office.
You mean literally a bucket?
Literally a bucket and a rag.
He wanted to show you how he could do take me out to your car.
Yes. But you know what? He wanted to buy a truck.
Okay.
Because he saw doing mobile washing. And this is before mobile washing really got to where it is today. So we walked him through the process. We helped him, got him a business plan, a budget, put everything on paper. And at the end of the day, he was allowed to, purchase a truck. So he ended up, his business grew so much. And we were like, he would come back every week. So he would write things down. We had him write things down. And whatever he came up, we would help him work it out. But at the end of the day, he ended up washing a whole fleet of trucks for another small business.
Oh, okay.
And he literally started with a bucket and a rag. So, it's those type of stories. We do a lot of hand-holding because there's things that come up trying to start a business that you need someone that you can talk to. So we try to be there for them. Our employees say that we spoil our members, but it's not so much we spoil them. It's just that we want to help them through the process and so that they succeed. And that young man that I'm talking about, that happened about 20 years ago, and he is still in business today.
That's great. Well, I'm a small business owner, and I'm a member of the credit union. I know you've held my hand on any number of occasions, which I've appreciated. Okay, so do you have any specific programs in mind, classes that you've conducted in the past, and what can you tell us about that?
We have a Friday book club.
Okay.
And where we literally work with the individual to get them to where they need to be. And so, because most people don't have a budget, and so we hand them a book, and they have to, everything that they spend, they have to write it down, even if it's a penny.
Okay.
And so what we tell them, that if you don't write it down, you're just cheating yourself. And so they bring us in their former income, and then we sit down and we go back to make sure that we are accounted for every penny.
Okay.
That right there, most people don't know where you spend your money at. And so when you break it down and they get to see where they spend their money, they was like, I didn't know I was doing that, and I didn't know I was doing that. But we continue to work with them so that they can understand that in your small business, you need to work with your budget. Because if you go outside your budget, that's when you're going to run into times.
Right.
So we have that. And also now we are doing a cohort with the Chamber, Toledo Chamber. And this is our second one. And we had 32 people sign up, entrepreneurs. And so we did our second class on Tuesday. And, you know, it's amazing when you get a group of individuals in a room and they get to talk to one another and they have ideals that you probably didn't even think of. But at the end of the 8 weeks, we have a graduation. And most of them, like I said, they're close. They've made relationships. It's just amazing work to see, and the questions that they ask and the conversations that they have. So this has really been, and we have 2 more to go. We have a waiting list of individuals who are trying to get into the class. And then the credit union has started their own series, because what we have found out too, that a lot of small businesses, they don't know about the insurances and things like that. So we've started a separate one to help them with the basics.
Okay. One of the things that's happened over the years as you've expanded from the shoebox to the storefront to your own freestanding operations is that your staff has grown accordingly, and there's a great deal more expertise within the credit union, people who can advise, than there were perhaps 30 years ago.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
Oh, I definitely agree with that. And that is one of the reasons why we have decided to do a resource center.
Okay.
Because what we have found that in the community that we serve, they come to Toledo Urban because they think we have all the answers. And we don't.
Okay.
And
but you want to.
So in the resource center, we'll have classrooms. We'll have GED classes. We'll have social services agencies, so that people can actually go talk to someone. Because a lot of times, I just need it face-to-face. You know, we've kind of gotten away from that.
Sure.
And it's such a need. And so that's our biggest project that we're working on, is getting that up and running.
What do you think, you have any timetable in mind for when you think the resource center will be complete?
2028.
2028? Okay. I think we'll all be around for that. Hope so. Year 32. That'll be great. Okay, so one of the things that's happened over the years is that not only is the expertise expanded, but the services have expanded. A couple of years ago, for a daycare center, you put together a construction loan with other partners.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that and where you think that might go in the future.
We have partnerships.
You're right.
Because we're the type of credit union we are, we're a community development credit union. We have depository relationships with the banks. And so, everybody knows about Community Reinvestment Act and where you have to do some things in the community. Well, a lot of times we have individuals that come to us that are above what we can do. And so we have partners. So we call our bank partners, and also Lucas County Port Authority, we call them, and we put a package together that will benefit the individual.
So you put together with banks.
Yes.
Maybe the larger banks. I won't name them all, but there are any number that our listeners can appreciate, and perhaps the Port Authority, and do things that maybe a single institution like the credit union wouldn't be able to do. Okay. Will you be growing that sort of program, do you think?
Yes.
As the years go on?
Yes. There's a need. Like I said, we're still small.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the larger loans we can't do. But if you bring in the partners and everybody works together, it really works out. They pay one person.
Mm-hmm.
They're not paying all three people.
Right. Okay.
And think about the expertise that they're getting to do that type of loan, because the bank works with them, the credit union works with them, and the Port Authority works with them.
Right. There's a lot of expertise at all those institutions.
Exactly.
Some of them just. You are, in fact, a board member of the Port Authority,
Yes.
and very familiar with some of the expertise that exists over there, which is growing exponentially also. Okay. So tell us more about what might be in the future for small businesses. There are so many people that want to start their own business. What might be in the future as far as offerings from the credit union, do you think? What sort of programs would you like to grow into?
Well, we're getting into SBA loans. We've been approved
Okay.
lender for SBA. And so we're going to start hiring some staff that has that expertise.
Okay.
So we see that, since with different businesses closings and with the economy, it's going towards entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have a branch that has been closed for a little bit here because of an accident. When do you think that operation is going to be up and running again?
Well, we were going to do a soft opening this week, and then someone vandalized our ATM machine, so it put us on hold. But we will be opening it soon.
Okay.
Yes.
Having driven by in the last couple of days, I noticed these big boulders that are surrounding the buildings so that certain types of accidents can't repeat themselves. So you're being very cautious.
I'll tell you a story. The week before the accident, 2 weeks before the accident happened, I ordered boulders. But that week, it rained so bad that they couldn't put them in. So when the accident happened, who was the first person I called? The company. I said, if you would have put my boulders in, I would still have my building. But it literally, that whole week, it rained and they couldn't get in there to do it.
Okay. That's amazing. Okay. Tell us again, to wrap this up. Again, you're celebrating 30 years. Mm-hmm. The celebration is going to be in July, you said?
In July. What we're doing now, we're actually on our social media. Because you know what? It takes a village. Well, it's taken a village, a city, it's taken the whole world to help us.
Yes.
For 30 years. So what we're doing is we're actually going for all the people that people don't even know that's been involved, and doing a little story on them and how they have helped the credit union.
Oh, very nice.
And people are really getting there. People thought that we had forgotten about them and that wouldn't mention them. So they are excited too.
Yes.
So
and your honorees are excited, by the way. I got a call from one of your honorees yesterday, and she is over the moon excited that she's being recognized, because she has never been recognized like this before for the good work she does. So that's bringing a lot of pleasure to a lot of people. That's fabulous.
I believe, give me my flowers while I can see them. That's always been the way how I feel, and you know that.
Mm-hmm.
We've had many conversations about that, because people have their schedules are busy, And if they give you 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes that they're taking from their personal life. And you need to say thank you for that.
Yes, yes. Well, there are a lot of appreciative people out there. Thank you very much, Suzette. We appreciate all that you've done for the community, and we'll give you your flowers right now as much as we can. And thank you, everyone, for listening to A Moment of Truth. Again, this is Fletcher Word with the Sojourner's Truth, and we are greatly appreciative for our guests on this particular program today.
The Local Thread is a production of WGTE Public Media. Episodes can be heard weeknights at 7 on FM 91 or anytime at WGTE.org.
The views and opinions expressed in the Local Thread are those of the hosts of the program and its guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of WGTE Public Media.